Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Lauren Ponce. This is where we have real, honest conversations about attraction and the psychology behind relationships in today's world. And today we're talking about something most men get completely wrong. A lot of men believe that if they stop chasing a woman, she just moves on, that the attention disappears, the connection fades, and she quickly replaces them without thinking twice. And because of that belief, they keep chasing. They keep texting first. They keep showing up. They keep making themselves constantly available because stopping feels like losing. But here's what most men don't realize. When a man stops chasing, a woman's mind doesn't go quiet. It gets louder. She starts asking questions she wasn't asking before. She starts feeling things she never had to feel when everything was easy and predictable. And the man who made that shift, simply by choosing himself, becomes someone she can't stop thinking about. What actually happens in her mind when you stop chasing is deeper, more emotional, and more in your favor than you've been told. There are 7 things that happen, not as a strategy, but as real insight into how attraction actually works when a man stops running after someone who isn't running toward him. Let's get into it. 1, her mind goes into overdrive. The moment you stop chasing, not slowly, not with an explanation, just quietly, something shifts on her side that you'll never see directly. Her mind speeds up. When you were always there, always pursuing, your presence became background noise. Not annoying, not unwanted, just constant. Like a sound you've heard for so long, you only notice it when it stops. And when it stops, the silence feels louder than the sound ever did. The first thing her mind does is look for answers. She goes back through everything. What changed? Did I do something wrong? Did he meet someone else? Is he just busy? These thoughts come fast. She didn't plan to think about you this much, but suddenly you're on her mind more than ever. That's the part most men never see. Your chasing didn't make her think about you like this. Your absence did. After that, she becomes more aware of everything connected to you. She notices when you're active online but didn't reach out. She pays attention when your name comes up. She replays past moments in detail. None of this was happening before. Because when you were always available, she didn't have to think. Now she does. And it's not something she's choosing. It's a natural reaction to losing something that became part of her emotional routine. 2, she starts questioning everything she thought she knew about you. Here's something most men never hear. When you stop chasing, she starts rethinking her entire perception of you. Before you were easy to understand, predictable, manageable, simple to categorize. She knew you liked her. She knew you'd be there. And because of that certainty, she never had to think deeply about you. You were just there. But the moment you stop chasing, everything becomes uncertain, and uncertainty forces her to think. She starts asking herself, did I read him wrong? Was his interest really unconditional? Did I handle this the right way? That discomfort matters, because discomfort creates emotional engagement. She also starts questioning her own feelings before she didn't need to. Your attention was guaranteed, so she never had to ask, do I actually want him? Now she does. And that question often surprises her, because suddenly you're not just predictable anymore. You're intriguing. And the only thing that changed was your level of pursuit. 3, your absence becomes more attractive than your presence. This is the part most men struggle to accept. In many cases, your absence is more attractive than your constant presence ever was. Not because women like being ignored, not because of games, but because of how human psychology works. People value what isn't guaranteed. When you were always there, your value felt fixed. She knew she could access you anytime, without effort, without uncertainty. But the moment that changes, your value increases automatically. You go from something certain to something that might not be. And might not be is always more interesting. Your absence also creates space. Space for her to actually feel your value. When you were always around, she got used to it. But when you're gone, she notices what's missing. She feels the gap. And that gap makes your presence suddenly clear in a way it never was before. This isn't about playing games. It's about having a life that naturally makes you less available. And that real fullness is what creates attraction without effort. 4, she realizes she actually has feelings for you. This is where things get really interesting. A lot of women don't fully realize they have real feelings for a man until he stops being so available. It sounds strange, but it happens all the time. When you were always chasing, her role was passive. She didn't have to look inward. She didn't have to ask herself what she actually felt, because the dynamic didn't require anything from her. Your attention was already there. But when you stop chasing, that changes. Now she has to face a question she was avoiding. Do I actually want him? And the answer doesn't come all at once. It shows up in small, unexpected moments. A song reminds her of you. A place triggers a memory. She hears your name and feels something stronger than she expected. Or she finds herself hoping you'll reach out while still refusing to reach out first. Each of these moments is a signal that there are real feelings there, feelings she didn't fully acknowledge before. And what makes this powerful is that it comes from her, not as a reaction to your attention, but from inside her own mind. And feelings that come from within always feel more real. 5. She won't admit what your silence did to her. Here's something most men completely misunderstand. A woman can be thinking about you constantly, feeling your absence, replaying moments, and still act completely fine on the outside. The gap between what she feels and what she shows can be huge. And because you only see the outside, you assume nothing affected her. But that's usually not true. The reason she won't admit it is simple: pride and vulnerability. Admitting that your silence affected her means admitting she cared more than she showed. And that's not easy to face. It also means admitting she had a chance to respond to you differently and didn't. So instead of saying it, she hides it. She keeps a calm, unbothered image. But internally, it's different. Imagine this. You stopped reaching out. She tells her friends she doesn't care, that it wasn't serious. But privately, she checks your profile more than she admits. She thinks about what she'd say if you texted. She notices every time you're online without contacting her. The outside is controlled, the inside isn't. And this is the key. Just because she doesn't show it doesn't mean she doesn't feel it. People who truly don't care don't need to prove it. 6. Not chasing reveals who she really is. When you stop chasing, something important happens. You don't just change how she feels, you see who she really is. Before, she didn't have to do anything. She could stay passive, receive your attention, and never show her level of interest because you were doing all the work. But when you stop, that changes. Now she has to decide, does she actually want this connection, or was she just enjoying your attention? And what she does next tells you everything. If she's genuinely interested, she'll find a way to reach out. It might be small, subtle, a message, a comment, a simple reason to reconnect. She won't make it obvious, but she will do something. Because letting you disappear completely won't feel right to her. But if she wasn't truly invested, she'll move on. No message, no effort. And yes, that can hurt. But it gives you something valuable. The truth. Because now you know exactly where you stood. And that clarity is worth everything. 7. You finally get her real attention. Here's the biggest takeaway. When you stop chasing, you don't lose her attention. In most cases, you finally get it. Because now her mind is active. She's thinking, questioning, feeling, all the things she didn't have to do when everything was easy. Your absence made her aware. And that awareness is what creates real attraction. Everything in this video comes down to one truth. Her mind doesn't go quiet when you stop chasing. It starts working. And you triggered that simply by choosing yourself. But the most important shift isn't in her mind, it's in yours. A man who stops chasing because he values himself, not as a tactic, not to get a reaction, but because he has a life worth focusing on, becomes a completely different man. And that difference is felt by everyone. Stop chasing, start building your life, and trust that the right woman will recognize a man who values himself enough to stop running toward people who aren't running toward him. Drop a comment below. Have you ever stopped chasing and seen something unexpected happen? I read every single one. If this helped you, hit like, share it. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. This is where men learn how women really think. And there's a lot more coming.